Amazing.
Yeah.
This is about a kind of a follow-up to this incident in Brazil.
Yes, they call it the Roswell of Brazil.
The Roswell, Brazil. This is one of the more, uh, I don't know. It's very interesting, and there's so much information around it, but it
Mhm.
feels more real in a sense. Like the amount of eyewitness testimony and the way people describe the incident feels like I don't know. Sometimes you hear about stuff in America, and it's like, okay, there's one memo or there's like a line, but this is a whole community
Yeah,
that basically was involved in
yeah.
this event. And you're gonna have to help me with the pronunciation. The Varginha incident.
Mhm.
Can you explain more or less what this is and how this came across your radar and what made you interested in it in the first place?
Absolutely. So, let's start off by saying I don't expect your audience to believe anything I'm about to tell you, because if I were you, I wouldn't.
Fair.
Okay? Having said that, I was making my second UFO documentary in the late '90s. It ended up being called Out of the Blue. I never have a title for my films when I start. The title comes to you at some
Yeah.
point. You'll know
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like the right thing. And what I do at the beginning of every film project, I don't do like big, intricate proposals or like, whole multi-pages. I do broad strokes. It's like, okay, usually on a chalkboard, it's like, all right, let's look at this case. Let's check out the Bentwaters case, Phoenix Lights, 1997, and kind of map it out that way. And then we just target those particular cases, and then we stitch it together at the end. And we're going through the various ideas, and I was working with this guy who's British. He was a former BBC correspondent. His name was Tim Coleman. A lot of respect, super intelligent, diligent researcher, and he's like, "Oh, mate, I think we should do this case in Brazil. These fucking live aliens walking around and da da da." And I just thought to myself, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy. Like, I think I picked the wrong partner. I really did." And not only did I not look into it when I was making my second UFO documentary, I refused to even read one thing about it.
And
Like
why?
I
Why? It just felt
because I
too
was like, "This is
outlandish.
impossible. It's
Mm,
impossible. There's no way a fucking UFO can crash and live aliens be walking around the town and the whole world not know about it."
right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to waste 1 second on garbage. Like that's literally what my position was. And fast forward probably, and I refused to look into it. And I said, "Tim, that's the worst idea ever. I'm not touching that thing with a 50-foot cattle prod. Forget it." And he was really pissed off at me at the time. Like he took it a little personally. So fast forward like probably at least 10 years, I'm say. And I'm going to Brazil. I get invited to Brazil on a film I did. I Know What I Saw. It was a 2-hour History Channel special. And a buddy of mine, Jeff Sagansky, was very high up in the entertainment industry. He's been very instrumental behind the scenes of like helping me promote my work, but without his face on it, like very quietly behind. And there's reasons for that. But he goes, "Oh, James, you're going to Brazil. Oh my God, you gotta look into the Varginha case." And I was like, "Oh my God, not this case again. This again." I was like, but I had a lot of respect for him, and he did a lot of amazing stuff for me behind the scenes. So I lied to him and I said, "Jeff, yeah, yeah. When I get there, I'll look into it for you and I'll report back. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Click. Yeah, I'm not going to waste 1 second on that case." Then I arrive in Brazil, and I just happened to be in this place called Peruíbe, which is like apparently there's like this island right off the coast that you can see it, and there's like this really poisonous snake that its venom is worth a lot of money, but they'll like poachers will go and it's off. It's not allowed, and no one's allowed on that island, but you can see it from the shore. And I'm sitting there, and Stanton Friedman, the nuclear physicist, the guy that pretty much put Roswell on the map, along with a couple of other people, talking with Stanton, and we're commenting on this like poisonous snake, and some of the locals are like, "Yeah, some poachers go out there, and then the snakes drop out of the trees, and there's a bunch of dead poachers," and we're just like, "Oh my God!" And then it was like someone's like, "Well, you know, there was a guy, a military officer, who allegedly handled the alien here in Virginia, who also died of some sort of bacterial thing," and I was like, "Oh my God, here was this case again, right?" And Stanton, and I was like, "Come on, Stanton." Stanton's like, you don't know about this case?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I know about it, but come on," like that. And he goes, "Not so fast, James." And I had a lot of respect for this. He's a nuclear physicist. He's really smart researcher. He just so happened to be in the area when it happened in Brazil, and he met a bunch of the witnesses at the time. And he goes, Don't dismiss this case. You should look into it." And that was a turning point for me. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to debunk it. I know it's going to turn out to be a bunch of hogwash, but I'll look into it. Okay, finally, after 12, whatever it was, I said, "Okay, I'll look into it."
And
And then
Stanton just happened to be there?
he was invited as well. He was invited as well to this event.
I see.
Yeah. And so, yeah, sorry, I meant to mention that. Yeah, we're as panelists on this one
I
event.
see, but he was there during Virginia.
He was in the area either like months after or like, yeah, but he met a bunch of the witnesses.
I see.
Like he was there and he's like, oh yeah. He goes, I think this is going to be the Roswell of Brazil. This is like a lot because so many people saw something like military activity, the creatures, the UFO in distress. Like, I mean, it was like a lot of people had a little piece of the puzzle, or like, oh, my cousin was involved, or my mom saw this, or I had people working at the hospital that night. Like, holy shit, something went down. So I started looking into it. And the more I looked into it, I was like, shit, this might have happened, right? And so probably 2 or 3 years into it, I got an interview with this military general, Brazilian military general. I was with my buddy Marco Leal, who's French. He's like, we're like partners. And we get this interview with José Carlos Pereira, and he's a Brazilian general, Air Force general. And he's like, before the interview, he's like, hey, we could talk about this. We could talk about Claris. We could talk about 1986 UFOs in Brazil. You mentioned Varginha, and this interview's done, and I'm walking out of here. It's like, what? So I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? So we do the interview, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, when the cameras stop, I'm gonna really pin this guy down, And so we do the interview, and he talks about all the things he's going to talk about, and at the end, the cameras shut down, and Marco was right there with me, and I was like, looked him in the eyes, and I said, come on, please, General, please, what's going on? Like, why don't you want to talk about this case? Like, did it happen? He's getting his affairs together because he's got a driver waiting for him. Excuse me. And he's like, gets his briefcase and he's getting his stuff together and he's clearly like getting prepared to leave. And we're following him back. And I often describe it as like I was almost licking the dirt off his boots. Like I was begging him just for something. I said, I swear on my life, there are no cameras rolling. There's no audio rolling. This is between the three of us, me, Marco, and you. Tell me, please, about Varginha, please. He gets in the car, sits down, the engine's running, doors open. Marco and I are standing right there, and he looks up at us, and he goes, it happened. Click. Marco and I looked at each other like, fuck. Like, to have that level of confirmation, and why would he make that up?
Yeah.
So that doesn't go in a movie, right? Because that's irrelevant. Anyone would say, well, it's third party. Of course. But for me and for Marco, that was like, okay, let's rock.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. You got military confirmation. You got nuclear physicists that are like,
look into it.
Close friends being like, check it out.
Yes.
So all of this is culminating to you being like, okay.
Yeah, I'm really starting to go, shit.
And you're telling this general, you're like, I'll never tell anyone. I'm not going to go on a podcast to share this information. Okay.
He died. So
and
that's why,
so now
that's why I share it. Yeah. Yeah, he died. Bless his heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And his demeanor during this interview was pretty...
Oh, he was like, UFOs are real. Like, this event happened, and this event happened, and da-da-da. And the reason why we can't say is because, you can't have objects of unknown origin whizzing around with impunity.
Right.
And for us to come forward and acknowledge that, it's going to scare the shit out of people.
Right.
Like, and to be able to say, like, yeah, they're here, but we don't know origins and intent. You know what I mean? And they fly rings around our fastest jets. Because no governing body is going to want to report that to the citizens. Are you kidding me?
Right.
You guys pay us to protect you. And we can't, shall they turn to be hostile? We have no visible means of defense against them. You think we're going to disclose that nature of information? Guess what he said to me? He goes, hell no. No, we don't do that.
Interesting.
Why would you do that? How are we going to benefit by doing that?
Right.
Because you reveal what you know, and in doing so, you have to reveal all things that you don't know.
Yeah, you basically just kind of admit, like, hey, we are not able to.
We're not in control.
We're not in control. Yeah, and that's a big issue for a government.
Very big issue.
Yeah, you have rebellion, and that's going to, just in terms of statecraft, that is a terrible admission.
And it makes perfectly good sense, because I remember one time, I used to always say, and I still do in some respects, because I believe it, but I understand a little more. I hate to say it, but there are certain national security issues regarding this topic that does merit some levels of secrecy. And I give you examples of that. But I had this general I was interviewing one time, and I was like, God, we're really unifying, and the world brings people together, and there's this outside, and he's just like chuckling to himself. Like, you're so naive, kid. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let me break it down for you. And then he like kind of explained it to me, and I was like, shit, I never looked at it that way before.